Imagerus, and I designed and developed co-tools, a web application to help cultural organization to manage their reservation. Let's go into some business context first. The idea is based on my own experience as a workshop facilitator in an association where I had to make reservation for schools or libraries that wanted me to conduct some workshop in their structure. And so I had to manage my reservation, keep a memory of the details. And we had 3 tools to do so. So my idea was to develop the self-hosted all-in-one solution. And I won't focus on the self-hosted. It's not a website where schools will make the reservation on their own, but it's for organizations to install on their server, to have their own private version of the application so the employee can manage their planning, organize their work, and so on. And I defined 3 core features. The first one is the ability to create a reservation and to view the reservation on the planning so employees can manage their work. The ability to generate some documents on the base of templates such as codes, contracts, and agreements, or reservation recaps you could send to the school so they remember the dates, the hour, the themes they want. And the ability to export the data so you can, each employee can make some reports and analytics on their activity. So this is the ideal project, but since I had a restricted amount of time, I defined a minimum viable product, considering the project scope, my current skill level, and the timeline. And I focused on 3 features. The first one, the ability for users to create 3 reservations with essential information, the planning view of the reservation, and at last, an admin access to any user's planning and reservation, and the ability for an admin to manage any reservation updates and so on. Before we go into a live demo, I'd like to give you an overview of the technical details. Let's talk about the architecture and the technologies I used. So I used the 3-layer architecture, the presentation layer, which is the website the employee interact with, is built with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript for the dynamic rendering. The application is made of 3 sub-layers, an API that deal with requests from the user, the service that enforce the business logic and make some verification, and the repository that manage the database interaction. It's built using Python, a Flask framework, and as object relational mapper, I use SQL Alchemy. And at last, the data layer, it's a relational database because my entities got strong relationships. And I use MySQL as the database management system. I want to give you an overview of my entity relationship diagram. So for now, you can't read it properly, but just the overview so you can see there is almost 10 entities, and I will show you the main ones. First, the user, it's referring to the employee making the reservation. There is very few details about the user. The password and the email are the credentials to log in. And there is, for now, only 2 roles. Is it an admin or just a simple user? I made the second access control, which is the reservation types. The reservation types is used to define what kind of reservation we are making, but because there is many employees, maybe someone is in charge of the workshop, or another one is in charge of group visits and exhibitions. So according to what you are dealing with, you are allowed to make specific reservation types. And if you are an admin, you can create any reservation type. So the reservation is at the core of the system, and it will use, so the user is the author of the reservation, there is a reservation type, there is also a status, so you can know at which part of the reservation process you are. Is it reserved, or is it cancelled, or are you waiting for information on signature, for example? The structure you are making the reservation for with its name, address, and contacts. The audiences, how many public of each kind of audience you are waiting for, you expect. and some themes, and themes are related to the reservation type. They are different according if it's a workshop or an exhibition visit, for example. If you want, we can discuss two design choices I've made to ensure the data consistency in my system that are a soft delete policy and some catalog values. And now let's go into the live demo. So let's pretend I'm at phone with a school and I want to make a reservation for the school. I'm going to log in my personal planning. And the first page we'll end in is my planning view. So I can see there is reservation in the next days. I can navigate through months to another with those arrows. And we are going to create one. So for now you can't see the themes, but we are going to choose the reservation types and the themes related to the reservation types we have here. Because I'm in charge of workshop, I can only make workshops reservations. Let's say at the end of the process, we will not wait for any other information. The school wants, well, two themes for this day. We are going to make the reservation, let's say in April, for the 2 April at 9. For the reservation, you can't register yourself the field because you are going to call an existing structure in your database. So to do so, you will choose a reservation type, send a zip code, and then you will have the list of available structure for this zip code and this reservation type. And if it's not registered yet, you can't create it from the form from now, but you will later. And then I keep the detail of the person I'm talking with at phone because it will be easier and convenient for me to reach her directly, and she will be my reference in the school. Then the audiences, let's say we will have those audiences, and the cost, which could be 200. So it should be successfully created. We are going to check this. We made it in April to the 2 of April, the 2nd of April. And we can retrieve the details we just registered. We can update some, but not all, because if we want to change the structures, and it's not the same reservation than before, and the reservation types cannot be changed. And if you want later, we can come back on the website for more. We saw what happened in the front end, and I want to show you a bit of backend with the code snippet. In my application layer in the service, this is the function in charge of creating the reservation. So when we clicked on submit, the presentation layer sends this data, we call it the payload. There is no longer structure name and so, but IDs. And mostly this part of code is about to verify the IDs are referring to existing and allowed resources. So at first, I extract the audiences from the payload because it's entities that must be created once a reservation is made. Then I extract some IDs, and I'm going to, you can see check ID. I verify if the themes registered is an existing theme and allowed themes because they can be deactivated sometimes. After I check for the status, the structure, the reservation types, and the user, I bring your attention of the themes. We can choose more than one theme for a reservation. So for each theme, we check the ID and if the ID is referring to an existing theme and if it's allowed. And then I make sure the themes registered match the reservation type. If not, then an error is raised. And if everything went well, then we can create the reservation, populate the relationship between reservation and themes, and then save it in the database. And at last, we can create the audiences, use the new reservation created ID to link it to the audiences, and we make the same verifications to audiences too. The results. Here is the timeline we followed at Holberton School. This is the forecast timeline. So we started first by the MVP definition and ideation. Then the project planning. Here is an overview of my Gantt diagram, and I want to bring your attention on the period after the Christmas holidays. You can see what step I followed on my MVP development, and it was more like a V-cycle approach. I made the base of my front end, then I worked on back end, and at last I finished my front. And I didn't follow this because you will understand later. Then some technical documentation, and at last the MVP development was intended to start at 5 of the 5th of January, but I had some delay and started with almost 2.5 week delays, so I had to rework my timeline. Despite the delay, I delivered the 3 main features I wanted, so the reservation management, the planning view, and the admin access. And as things I'd like to improve for next time, I think I won't longer use a V approach, and I prefer an agile cycle with feature center approach, because I spend too much time on my backend sometimes for functionalities I don't use in the front end, or I have no enough time to connect to my front end to it. I used vanilla JavaScript, and it was a lot of line of code. It was a bit hard to debug and to maintain, so I think framework would be a good improvement too. And the next steps for this application, I want to make a profile page for users so they can make some password update, for example. A full catalog value management. For now, it's a seed that populates the reservation types and the status, for example, and a complete admin dashboard to allow this catalog value management. And medium term, I'd like to implement the 2 missing features that are the template-based document generation and the data and report export. And at last, finance role management would be, to me, a good idea to allow your colleagues in charge of the end of the year report to access the data, or for example, the person in charge of invoicing to, when the reservation is closed, they can take notes of that and start the invoicing process. Thank you for your attention. If you have any question.
Congratulations. Maybe I saw some little thing. Could you tell me why you set the password on clear? I saw
Really?
there is no encryption on password.
On my diagram,
Yeah,
yes.
it was on bar chart.
Oh yeah. Actually, it's hashed with a bcrypt.
Yeah.
So it's, to me, it was a string.
Yeah.
So I used Barca, but it's before it's how could I say? Because before it's created and stored in the database,
Yeah.
it's hashed.
Okay. And you decrypt this after?
Well, when you log in, you have you call the user from the database, and I use there is a specific method in bcrypt.
Base 64?
I couldn't remember actually the. No, it's not base 64. It's hash. I think it's something. I know it's 60 something character long.
Okay.
But I couldn't tell you the algorithm to
Yeah.
hash.
Because if you have API,
Yeah.
you cannot send clear password on the.
No, normally it's not. It doesn't navigate on clear.
Yeah.
It's hashed at the creation.
Yeah.
Then you verify when the user register its password. It verifies if the hash is rehashed and compared to the one in the database.
Okay. So you have when the user connect on your application, you hashed after he set his
Yeah.
password. Okay.
So it means I need to use HTTPS to encrypt when they send the password
Okay.
in clear, and then it's hash and compared to the hash.
Okay. I think it's a little bit dangerous
Okay.
because you can use lots of protocol like basic auth
Yeah.
or base 64 encryption.
Okay.
There is more method to do that, and if someone use your method, and if you can they can take your password and
Yeah.
retro, but it's okay, it's okay. I saw another things on your diagram. You have reservation types on string, and
Yes.
all reservation type are on varchar. So you have to stringify everything when you on the reservation type table. You have
Oh, yes.
your ID is on string.
Ah, yeah. It's a mistake. Actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Because
sorry.
it will be because you can have lots of problem because you
Yeah.
you need to stringify everything if you
Yeah.
you want to.
So in my model, I used well, actually, when I use my ORM, I put string and it worked in my database. So in my mind, it was like MySQL string equal varchar for.
Yeah, but you have to type every variable you use.
Yeah, my pyontic makes sure the variable yes, the fields are the values intended and the types are what we expect.
Okay. So just
But here it's a mistake. Yes. Many also for things I use strings, so it's mistake. My intention was to use varchar.
yeah. Okay.
Sorry for this, and thank you for telling me to.
When you just two things in your displaying view, I saw that you didn't make the choice to displaying on monthly.
Yes.
It's on list view. So
Yes.
for the UX experience, it's not really a good choice, I think.
You prefer a grid view, for example?
Yeah, maybe because
Okay.
it's not if you have sometimes on June, if you want
Yes.
to say
Everything at once.
yeah.
Yeah. I considered this, and then because I thought if you are making some dealing with group visits, so you have planning on the day.
Yeah.
And I wanted for me it was clearer to have cards side by side, like a timeline of the day. At 9 I have this group, at 10 I have this other group, and well I don't know how to deal with that. This maybe you can switch.
Yeah.
It would be good. Yes.
Yeah, maybe you thought to do that on your plain view.
Yes.
Because we didn't see that this view, the plain view.
Yes, no, I didn't implement it
Okay.
like this, but I asked myself what kind of view I would like to make, and I opted this one for this timeline reason.
Okay. And just the last remarks on your database and maybe your field relationship.
Yeah.
When you display the forms to create a reservation,
Yeah.
could you show to us?
This one.
No, just the form.
Ah, the form. Okay.
Yeah. There I noticed that there is no field dependency.
Okay.
You can set any sys choice and there is no dependency on between the fields?
I'm not sure to understand. Can I ask you to tell me in French?
J'ai l'impression qu'il n'y a pas de dépendance en fait entre les différents champs. Les sys choice, normalement, il y a des choix qui devraient être préfiltrés en fonction d'eux. Et là, j'ai l'impression que le référentiel, on va taper directement en dur tout ce qu'il y a dans le sys choice, mais on va pas aller faire éventuellement des préfiltrages s'il y a besoin. Et de manière générale, c'est pas un référentiel de data que tu as fait. Tu as mis des choix dans des tables.
Vous voulez dire que. Alors, je crois que j'ai du mal à comprendre parce que je manque un peu de technique. Mais du coup, ce que j'ai fait, c'est que oui, j'ai créé des types de réservations, thèmes, et ça pour l'instant c'est fixe, on ne peut pas les manager encore.
I can give you another example. If you make the choice to set a city like Dijon, if you show streets, there is a dependence of with the city you press set before.
Yes.
You cannot display a street of Besançon because you made the choice to take Dijon before. So there is a field dependency. You don't have control in your field of the correctness data. The choice is in your data model, database. If I put a code postal on 10 character, maybe or something like that, there is you have lots of control of correctness data.
Wait, I didn't think of that.
Yeah, it's a data policy.
Yes.
And you must to do that because maybe I can write alpha character on telephone field.
Yeah, I don't know. Yes. Actually, I made my zip code is a string because I didn't want to me to assign a number to some additions too. And only in the backend there is a check if it's 5 characters.
Okay.
But not on the front.
Okay, it's not on client side, it's on server side.
But
it's not. Yeah, it's small mistake because it's and maybe you can just do that and when you declare the field, you just maybe prefer an int or something like that.
Yeah, to force the the
time.
Yes, absolutely.
And just for the for the last, you say that your technical documentation began on January.
Yes.
That your development were not finished on February on your timeline. So I don't know.
Maybe there is a mistake. So the technical documentation started at December and Christmas holiday, so it was finished, expected to be finished at the 5th of January.
Yeah.
And then the MVP development started at the 5th of January. So just after the technical documentation.
So how do you document something that you're not?
I understand. I see what you want to. So this is the name of the stage we have on Holberton School, but to me it was not a good wording too. So it's preparatory work on my design. It's designing the app with making the class diagram.
Conceptual documentation.
Yes.
Okay.
So at Holberton School it's called technical documentation.
Okay, so I think it's
Yes, it's a
terminology mistake.
yes, yes, absolutely.
Okay.
I agree with that, but I took what we
Yeah,
have
yeah,
on
it's okay.
on the curriculum.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
First, a good presentation, good content. Thank you for your English. You're capable to respond in English, so this is very good.
Mm.
I have just only two small questions,
Yeah.
but on a legal perspective.
Okay.
Okay. So you mentioned the contract and agreements.
Yes.
Okay. I just want to ask who wrote the contracts and agreements, and what the consequences if one party
Yes.
doesn't respect the contract signed.
It depends on the policy of the organization about this. But in my own experience as workshop facilitator, we had just agreements, so it was no legal constraint, and it was just a way to formalize that it's expected. On this day, we have the workshop facilitator will come into school. Be sure you have some meal at noon, and after the workshop is done, we will send you an invoice. So you sign this and you agree with it. But if it's cancelled, then there is no invoice. As invoicing,
Okay. My question is about if one party cancels the reservation,
Yeah.
this maybe costs fees. So if you put agreement, even if it's only on between two parties and it's
Yes.
not on a legal perspective,
Yes.
you should mention that this maybe will cost some invoice or a small party of the amount put it.
Okay.
Because you are wasting time and you are wasting money when you reserve, and one
Yes.
party cancel at any time.
I agree with this. From my point of view, in my association, it was not a problem for them because it was like, okay, it's cancelled. Sometimes it happened, and we can choose another date. And if it's cancelled, it's cancelled because we know sometimes they are waiting for public help for money, and it doesn't happen. So
So
we
you
want
should
to keep.
mention that cancellation will be free at
Okay.
any time.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. And I have another question. Have you planned data protection and reviewed the legal requirements? I mean, the protection of payment if someone wants to pay online.
There is no online payment for now, and I think there will not be. It's just a tool to manage the reservation, but next, absolutely, there will be to. If I do this, or if I want this to connect on billetterie, we'll have to deal with this. About the data, we talked about security yesterday when we were doing our mockups. I think I want to encrypt some sensible information such as emails, phone numbers, even if it's school and it's public. It's better to improve this.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry for the technical delay. Today I will present you my portfolio project called JDM, as stands for Jeu de mots. It's a web application that allows users to describe and interact with device and world. So the project context, it's a client-based academic project based on membership race board game. It's a new idea from my project owner. So I work with Anu Hatlibur, who is the project owner and the ID minder. So it's a project manager, and it's made the first website to see if it's possible, and I'm with him for full stack developer, the future he wants. So the project is a web application with interactive feature, with voice game. You want multi-line interface and user interaction. So the game, it's based on twice with a letter. You do twice physically, and you want something to help to play, and in the future something to play with all over people, all over the world. So I will show you. So it's a landing page as you want. We see game at the beginning. You can switch the language to English, and you can roll the game twice again and again. And in the future, you are more later in this device. But for now, it's just the letter of the game. And you can shoot them and play. And put a new word. And after, be in the Hall of Fame when you have a lot of words. In the future, this Hall of Fame will connect with your account. But for now, it's not done. And here you have an admin with an administration board for now, for the user, and at least for the database world. So, the technology I used on this project is I've constraint because the server used is OVH. So I can't do what I want. I have to work with PHP and some structure different as I used to. So for the front end, I use HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Database, I use MySQL, and to manage the big one, it's PHP MyAdmin. The architecture I used for my files is when the user called the HTML CSS page, you have the voice systems, make the voice, the language with choose. For now I have only two. after the backend calls the good files, and I go to my SQL database. For make it twice, I have this algorithm. So the backend calls the language, and after I call in JavaScript initialization of the twice, logic of the twice, trace renderer, and after trace controller to show them. So I have a little code for render my twice and all information I can put on my twice, but I don't fill all the file for all of them. So my timeline is this one. And understanding the existing code is more complicated than I think at the beginning. After I go to backend configuration, database setup a little because some of the database exist. I do the twice in JavaScript and the internal source I18N for change the language, and after I testing and deploy on a little part of the server OVH to see if it's work or not. So for this project I learned JavaScript modular development, how to put language in a website it's easily to be reading by the computer, and debugging and problem solving. The next step of this project is improve the interface user, add more interactive feature, and deploy on the real OVH server. And for the integration.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Sorry because you went straight to the point. So
yes, I know. I know it's not my favorite part, this one.
But I saw some little things. Is it okay to present us your project on localhost? I saw that it was on localhost.
It's just on my computer.
Yeah, okay. Because you need to replace that after to protect your project.
Yes, but for now it's just on my local host.
Okay.
And it's on that.
Yeah.
But with no protection. I know that, and
Okay.
I know I have to talk a lot about that with my project owner.
Okay.
Because the password of the login, it's okay, it's encrypted, but the password of the database used
it's unclear.
It's unclear.
Yeah.
And I use the database on local with just some test user and test admin. So for me it's not a problem, but for him it will be a big problem because this database it's a big work. We have I think 6 or 7 dictionary database.
Okay.
With too much lines and no protection.
Okay. For the two things I saw, how do you manage the letter random? Because when I saw your code, there is no, you just declare the container with your sprites, etc. But I didn't see the generate random later.
It's normal. For now, it's not done.
Okay.
But it will be the same. One twice, 6 possibility
Yeah.
and random in the 6th.
Yeah. How will you do this random? Because in mathematics, a random is not really easy to.
I know.
So
It's
you need to have a method to manage this random. So how do you thought to do that?
I think in mathematics you have something it's called random.
Yeah.
To have a name.
Yeah.
And I say the dice with the letter A equal 1, E equal 2, and so on, and I say random, and if it's 2, so E.
Okay, so you want to do a math
I think
point random, and after you will have a comparative table or
Yes.
index of. Okay.
Yes. I think it's the easier, and I think perhaps the twice will change in the future, because now he thinks of a combination of 5 days, 5 twice,
Mhm.
and bonus to complete to 24 face.
Yeah.
But today you have a choice of that. When I begin with him, it's another choice, and perhaps in the future there another choice.
Okay.
I need to have something very simple to change.
Okay.
And as we want to do in English, in French, in Spanish, German, perhaps the combination for all this language is not the same.
Yeah.
So I have to think about something very flexible.
Dynamic.
Yes.
Okay. The same question on algorithmic conception. If you have 5 times the letter E, how do you manage that on your game? Because normally there is no
because
word.
I have 1 twice with 6 face
Yep.
and 6 letter different, and I have 24 face
Yeah.
with.
So you need to have.
It's not 24, it's 30, 30.
If you have 6 dice, yes, you have 5.
Five
sorry.
dice,
Yeah.
it's 30.
Yeah.
24, 26 letter plus bonus,
Yeah.
and only 1 of each.
Yeah, but if you want to not add the possibility to have the 5 times the same letter, you need to stock on your variable the precedent result.
Yes,
For the first dice, you need to stock in the variable.
I think though.
How do you manage that?
First dice, 6 letter.
Yeah.
Second dice, 6 other one.
Yeah, so you need
So
to.
I have to stock
Yeah.
the database
On
of the dice.
Yeah, and on the future dice, you need to remove this possibility.
No, I think I'm not really. I'm not really clear with you.
But it's the beginning of your game.
You have something like that. So twice 1, this letter. Twice 2, this letter.
Okay, so it's not dynamic.
If it's kind of dynamic, but all the table is moving, because perhaps you want remove one and put. It's not all dynamics. It's based on that.
Yeah, so it's
Mm.
hard coded now. It's hard coded, and I can't have a Z letter on the dice one. It's not possible.
Yes,
Okay, so it's hard coded.
but this one is not. It's not the.
It's an MVP.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And last question, I saw that you say on the last slide, why do you say understanding the existing code?
It's not the last thing. It's the first.
Yeah.
Because my.
It's not your code?
No. I work with
Yeah.
do some things with IA
Yeah.
to do the if it can be and what
Proof of concept.
yes,
Okay.
what I show to you is my code.
Okay.
For example, I put I18N
Yeah.
in all you see in English.
Yeah.
It's me. In this one, it's his word, it's work. That's why I say event contribution. I show you what it I want it, he want it to be,
Okay.
but I have to do a better one because it's an HTTP PHP page
Yeah.
and everything is mixed.
Okay.
You have CSS,
Yeah.
HTML,
Yeah.
everything is. So I have to understand what he wants to show, and to make it very easy to upgrade, to understand for
For the maintenance.
yes,
After.
for the maintenance, and the same the part of the user
Preference.
preference and the creation the account, it's me.
Okay.
I show you what I do.
Yeah.
But he work on it like he work on the dictionary, he work on database.
Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
not connect on it for now,
Mm.
and it's
And sorry, last question. On the scalability of your game, it will. How do you think you can do? Because you need to compare the choice that the player puts.
yes.
So you have a database with million of words.
Yes.
So you need to be very efficient when you compare all the results on your database. So maybe a request could take 2 minutes. And
Yes.
how do you think about that? Because if you're on your database, if you have 30 million of words,
I understand.
okay,
On his database, we do
index,
maps with the 2 letters of the word. So it's a first filter.
okay,
You don't have to read everything. Just you are in French. You have this letter. So it's a little part.
okay, 2 parameters, the 2 first letter
Yes.
and the language. Okay, I think it's not
Not
sufficient.
enough.
No, it's not enough. Okay, thank you.
Hi. Thank you for your presentation. It was great. Sometimes when it's simple, it's more clear. So I appreciate the simplicity of your project. I just want to pay your attention about one remark I will give you about the legal perspective also. As I said to your classmate, when you talk about internet mondialization and to extend your project on other countries, you should respect the data protection if it's in France or it's on a European aspect. So you should just pay attention for the international data protection law, the European one. So your project will not be prohibited in one country. Okay.
Okay.
So you can really protect your users and protect the information given into your application. Thank you. Say to you, don't rush yourself, but maybe I have to go because I have to. Thank you.
I'll start. Hi everyone, thank you for being here. I'm Tristan from the court 27 in holbertonfrance, Dijon. Today I'm proud to present you my portfolio project, Cookup. I will first explain what is this project, then I will show you a live demo. Finally, we'll dive into the technical part and the challenges that I faced. What is CookHub? CookHub is a full stack web app for anyone that wants to manage their recipes. How does it work? You can create your recipes and see all of them in one place. Then you can generate shopping list based on the recipes that you selected. And all of that is in your personal accounts, so your recipes stay private. How did I come up with this idea? So I don't know how you do for your groceries, but I like to plan for the recipes that I want to eat in the next few days. However, choosing all the ingredients from those recipes, it's really time consuming. And I also wanted a place where I can see all the recipes that I am used to eat. So after having the idea of CookHub, I've checked online if it already existed, but I couldn't find the exact same ID. What I found was more recipes that you can import, but not the generation of the shopping list. So I decided to go for CookHub. Now let me show you how my website works. So here you have the login page. If you can log in. If you don't have an account, you can just create one. So here I already have one. Then you land on the main page where you can see all the recipes that you have created. So now let's create one recipe by clicking here. And now you have the form. You can add a new recipe like a quiche, for instance. This is the only requirement is the title. All the other options are optional. Then you can put the number of persons. Here I already copied the URL. And then we can add some ingredients, for instance, some milks. We can put like 200 milliliters. And we can put a price, but it's optional. And then let's just add another ingredients like some maybe eggs. So let's put, for instance, 2 and pieces, so you can see. Maybe like kilos. So you can add as many ingredients as you want, and then you can add a description to explain how you make the recipe. Then you just click on save the recipe, and now you have the quiche that shows here with all the other recipes. If you made a mistake or want to edit something, you just click and you have the same form that appears. And you can edit your recipe. Now let's say you want to go for groceries. So you go here and you select the recipes that you want to eat. For instance, let's say you want some quiche and crepe. You just select them. And here you have the shopping cart that shows. So you just click. And now you see all the ingredients that are in both the recipes. You can also see the name of the recipes on the top. You can add an ingredient independently from those recipes. If you want some tomatoes, for instance, tomatoes, and this you just add, and now you have tomatoes that shows. Here you can notice that the eggs are both in quiche and crepe, so they combine together, the quantity and the price. And you can remove, let's say you don't want crepe anymore, you just remove, and you have the new ingredients list. So that's it for the live demo. Now let's dive into the technical part. So my tech stack, for the front end I use React, combined with Tailwind and Daisy UI for the components. For my backend, I use Python, FastAPI and Pydantic. And for the ORM, I use SQL Alchemy. Regarding my database, I use PostgreSQL, as it is a traditional relational database, and Alembic for migrations. For the authentication, I use JWT and Decrypt for hashing password. My architecture is in 3 layers. So you have the React app that communicates with the Fast API backend through HTTP requests, and you have the JWT token in the header. Then you have the Fast API that talks to my database through NORM, that is SQL Alchemy. So the flow goes like this. You have the user that creates recipes, you have ingredients in those recipes, and then you generate a shopping list based on those ingredients. Now I would like to explain one on the core algorithm. So it's in 2 steps. The first step is to create aggregated internal. So it will iterate through all the elements of the cart, and if it finds an ingredient that has the same name and the quantity in the same unit, let's say tomatoes 300 grams and 200 grams, it will combine into one element, tomatoes 500 grams. The second step is aggregated visible. So here it will handle the case where an ingredient has 2 different units. If we take the tomatoes example, if you have in grams in one recipe and tomatoes in pieces in another, you can't add both of them. So it will create tomatoes grams plus pieces. Now for the timeline, it was roughly like this. So in December, I did all the documentation and planned my ideas. In January, I've coded the backend, and in Feb, the frontend. And finally in March, I did the finalization of the project and corrected all the bugs. I use GitHub for my code and Notion for documentation. I faced 2 main technical challenges. The first one is the relationships between all my classes, users, ingredients, recipes, and shopping carts. The second technical challenges was the ingredient aggregation that I have just explained in the code snippet. And one non-technical challenge was, as I was working alone, I had to manage the scope carefully and do one feature at a time. I learned a lot doing this project because I did everything on my own. So here are the 4 main things that I learned. First one is designing whole database with the relations. The second one is handling secure authentication. Another thing that I learned is React, because we didn't learn at school. So I had to learn all this language, which is really essential for me, I think. And finally, I had to learn how to respect the scope, because I had a tendency to add more features or more buttons on my app, but it's time consuming. For the future, I have several ideas for new features. One is to add tags and filters to recipes, so you can sort by the type of cuisine, like French, Italian, maybe also vegan, vegetarian, and filters to sort all your recipes. Another part would be the social sharing, so you can import and share your recipes with the community. I would like to implement an API price, because now you have to do it manually, or you don't put a price, but that's not the best. And finally, I would like to deploy my app, so all my family's friends or even you can use CookUp if they want. Thank you for your attention, and if you have any questions or remarks.
Thank you for your presentation. I appreciate it. I like the idea that you put the picture and the price. So it's not just an application to have people to cook their cuisine, but it's also a budget application for groceries. So that's good. Your English is good also, so to explain in another language, this is very important in your major. And I appreciate the fact that you put in your algorithm a combination if you have in 2 recipe, for example, the tomato, so at
So
the
the
end
UI
it
is
will,
not the best.
yeah. So no, I just have good remark on it. As I said to your classmates, data protection is very important, so So if you want to extend your application and really to put it there so people can consume it, you have to be careful for the user's information protection. Good job. Thank you. And sorry, I have to go so I can meet my client before the judge.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry, I cannot hear your questions, but I'm really sure it will be efficient. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, I have some question. Like the precedent project, if you have mandatory field, you need to notice that for the user, because user cannot guess what field are mandatory or not.
They told me yesterday. So I thought by adding a little
Yeah.
star or red
Yeah,
star next to the form.
you have to notice to your user what is mandatory and what is recommended field for the correctness, compliance,
Yeah, makes sense.
for an efficient results. Like precedent project 2, I think you haven't really good data policy or UI policies, because you can set lots of things on your. It's a declarative field,
Yeah.
and there is no client control when on your
Because I wanted the user to be free to make what they want, but if you do this, then your security.
You have to manage this on your database, because your database has some restriction. Like you can, if you declare a string, you can or it's not a good example, but if you declare your price on integer or on double type, you cannot set later.
Yeah,
For example, so you need to manage data on client side.
Okay.
After you can manage your the correctness data on the server side, because if you don't do that, your database will reject your data.
Yeah. For now, it's only on the database.
Yeah.
Like for the price, I stuck everything in int.
Okay.
So it's the cents price. So if you put like 2.5 euros, it will
Yeah.
convert this into cents.
Yeah.
And I store everything in int. But
Yeah,
there's no check on the client side.
Why I say that? Because you talk about manage this with API before after,
Yes.
and you need to have good data.
Yeah.
It's, even it will be a disaster. I saw an IP address on your top bar, so maybe
Okay.
you need to manage this
Yes.
for your.
It's supposed to be in full screen.
And yes, it's a remark for all of Holberton project. Do you prevent SQL injection attack? Because I think it's like open bar in your project.
Yeah, for now there's no check on the form when you fill anything.
If in your URL I put drop select étoile table and drop table, I can do this.
So normally all the routes are protected.
Yeah.
So you need to be authenticated
Okay.
either with your token as a user or as admin.
Okay.
So all the routes you can't access anything if you don't have
If you're not logged. Okay.
So this is how I manage security, but I'm sure I can improve.
But if someone is want to drop your table, you just need to be connected and after you have yeah. So you need to protect from the exterior side and in if even if sometimes someone is connected, you need to protect your architecture
So
too.
not only protection is as I use Fast API, I use also Pydantic.
Yeah.
So all the data that you put in or out, they are defined already in the object, class object.
Yeah.
That's the only security.
Okay. And I understand you talk about many manage this with a role or something like that. You talk about admin person.
Yes. So the admin can basically access any roles,
Yeah.
post or delete, and then if you're a user, when you connect, you have your token, and you can only access all the recipes and all the data that you have created.
Okay. Okay.
Other data you can't do anything.
Okay.
Only the admin can.
So it's yeah, really. You said and you answered to my question that you will manage the price after with API request.
Yes.
And at the moment, if you don't set a price, it's okay, but the purpose of your applications is to manage maybe future invoice. So if you don't set price, there is no sense.
No, the main functionality of my app was the recipes management and the generation of the shopping list.
Yeah.
And then I thought like about people that want to manage their budget. Like me, I'm a student. So I'm like, if you have time, you just can add the price of the ingredient.
Okay.
So you can see even the price per portion on the main page. You have the recipe and the price per portion. But now it's if you want to do this. It's maybe people that are not really, that don't care a lot about the cost of the recipe. They don't want to lose time on putting the ingredient price. So they can just put nothing and it will be zero.
And if you can you could have another point of view, because for the user experience, for each new recipe, you have to set the price.
Yes.
If you thought to do this just for one time, stock data in your database, egg is 1.50 euro,
Okay.
and after that, if you choose egg, you can manage this on every form. It would be easier for you.
Yes.
So when you concept an application, you need to design and conception your data to not replicate data every time or everywhere.
Yes.
To have a dynamic construction of your database.
That was really the hard part I found, because I had an idea at the start, and then when you start developing, I was like, oh, but this is bad, so I need to change this.
Yes. So you need to after, but when it's not a problem, there is lots of new idea when you start a project, but you need to don't hesitate sometime to remove something, because conceptually maybe for 6 months or 1 year you have to do something because of your early choice was bad, so you need to think about that. And the last thing, you spoke about complex data relationship. We didn't see any diagram or modelization.
Yeah, I could have add the diagram.
Yeah, because you spoke a lot about that, but you said that it's be difficult for us, was difficult for you, pardon.
Mm.
And we didn't say anything about that.
Just I have done it in my documentation. in the
Okay.
wiki. Just I didn't know if I would have some technical people watching me,
Okay.
so I didn't want to put too much technical
Okay.
information.
And for the just code part, could you just show us your snippet code?
Yes.
I just saw an if with name and quantity in parameter,
Yes. I don't know what it's not.
and in your else you have a quantity and price. So I don't understand how you need to have you need to have a name and quantity, which is good for to manage your invoice, etc. Your grocery list. But if you don't add that, else you want quantity and price. So I don't understand the logic for that.
So it's it will iterate over all the elements in the cart,
Yeah.
and if it finds an element with the same name and unit,
Yeah, it's your key.
yeah,
Yeah, I
That's it.
understand.
then it will. So if it doesn't find, it will create a new element,
Yeah.
and if it already exists, like there's already like a tomatoes in grams, then it will add for the key tomato, it will add the unit, so like the 300
Yeah.
for the grams, and the price.
Okay.
But I don't understand how.
Okay. You don't have you don't have to set because it's already exists.
Yeah.
Just add two more
So
information.
I have
you-
tomatoes here and I have tomatoes here.
Mm.
If both are in grams, I will add the quantity 300 and 200.
Mm.
So it will be 500, and if I have a price like 2 and 1 euro, it will be 3 euros.
Okay.
And then it creates this new element that I will show on the shopping list.
Okay.
So I don't change the original ingredient from the recipe.
Mm.
That was the hard part, is how do you edit the ingredients without changing the ingredients from the original recipe.
That you didn't have this problem if you managed before ingredients
Mm.
in a table, a dedicated table, like I said before, a referential of your ingredients, and after when you are on your form you can request your database with ingredients which were preset before.
I have a class because I have the ingredients,
Yeah.
I have the shopping cart, but I have intermediate class that is the shopping cart item.
Yeah, I saw add to cart.
Really?
Yeah.
That's the thing. So I don't change the original ingredients, but I can just create a new ingredient with new quantity.
Yeah.
It's this shopping cart item.
Okay. So just think about that.
Yeah.
It will be efficient and more easier for you to manage your data with your variable or your maybe when you declare your object, you can have a type for this,
Yes.
and it will be really easier for you and for the user experience. They just set this once, and after maybe if eggs price is 20 cents more, they just update one time and it's okay after. So
yeah,
it's you have benefits for the two parts.
one of the main things that I want to do now is the API price.
Yeah.
To solve all these issues.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Great job and congrats.
Thank you.
Welcome. My name is Xavier Laforgue, and this is my end of the year project presentation for the Applications and Web Developer Junior track at the Holberton School, campus of Dijon, cohort 27. Animate It is a full-stack web application aimed at anime fans and home cooks looking for new experiences. It is a community-driven platform where that centralizes and gathers anime-inspired recipes and centralizes the process of creation, sharing, and perusing recipes, anime-inspired recipes. It includes a main feed where the shared recipes are displayed and explored, a tool to create, edit, publish recipes, a personal catalog for the users to access their authored and saved recipes, the opportunity, the power to save recipes from other users, and dynamic elements to follow recipes such as step checklist and timers. This project was a solo project. As such, I had to wear the caps of all the roles involved in a software development project, meaning from design to architecture, from front to back, from product management, project management, source code management. Let's start by diving into the web application. You can see now this is the home page, where you can see the feed of recipes that have been created and shared by the community, so made public. We can explore the recipes, we can see the multiple photos that the community has offered, we can see the authors, the anime that is connected to them, the date of publication, how many servings or portions you can make with it, the difficulty level. You can have some actions, some options here, depending on who you are related to this recipe. A short description, list of ingredients with the units and the quantities, list of steps, then you can start timers for those that do have a timer, and then you can mark as completed as you go along with the process. You, as a authenticated user, you cannot create accounts, you cannot create recipes, so let's authenticate ourselves. I create the user for us in advance. Now we are logged in, and we can see that there are different options here for the recipes, such as, well, this recipe is authored by this particular user, and this one is not, so we can see that we can save a copy from others, people's recipes. Let's see here, this is the recipe creation tool. We can provide title, a related anime source for this recipe, an optional description, set difficulty. We can add ingredients, their quantity, and choose a unit of measurement. We can add steps, and optionally we can add a duration for each step. If my plugin works, then I can fill this with the click. More or less, it doesn't give me the units, and it gives me some strange things here. I can add some, let's say, shrimps. We're gonna say that this, oops, no, these are pieces. We can say the chicken thighs, we're gonna measure them in, what is that, half a what? I don't know, let's say, a package, yeah, a package is good. Some tablespoons of teriyaki sauce. Okay, maybe we add some minutes here. Not a problem. We can add some photos for this. We are what were we actually? I think it was yakisoba maybe. So let's add some pictures of yakisoba, both real life and anime counterpart. So we have created the recipe. It is a draft now. We can continue to edit it. We can improve it. There is a list of ingredients, their quantities, their steps, timers, and checklist. We can reset the timers. We can pause them, of course. If we are satisfied with it, we can mark it as ready. We can see the changes here in our catalog of recipes. So this is a draft that has not been completed, right? It's a draft. This is a ready recipe, the one that we have just created together and made available, ready for private use. These ones are the ones that we have published. We can go back to the recipe, we can publish it if we want, we can go back and edit it, we can retract it and make it private again if we so wish. I also added that little toggle for the theme because I liked that. Small note, maybe I go over the time, but this is about the responsiveness. Maybe I should show that it is responsive. Oh, it looks alright in smartphones. Getting back to the presentation. Mainly for the front end, I used React, TypeScript, and Tailwind. For the back end, Python, Django, and for the database, Postgres. In terms of the architecture, I containerized the application using Docker. I placed an Nginx web server in front that serves as a load balancer and such. And well, I will explain later. Version control via Git, remote repository via GitHub, and for project management, GitHub projects, a bit of Jira too, and manual testing via Postman. The system architecture is general web architecture, 3 layers. We have the front end, the presentation layer. There is the React single page application that is delivered to the client, to the browser. It is delivered by Nginx. That serves as a load balancer, reverse proxy, and serves the media and the front-end application, the compiled files. The backend, so it's communicated. The only one allowed to communicate with the REST API made in Django, which is using a production level server Unicorn. And the backend communicates with the Postgres database, which is the volume for the container, using its own ORM, Django ORM. The data model, we don't need to explore it in very much detail, but we can take a look. We can see that the regular users that manage the account logins and such, they have an associated profile with their social data. Users can create recipes. Recipes have steps, they have photos, they have status like a draft, published, saved, ready. They have ingredients, they have a certain associated difficulty, and a unit of measurement. I did want to add a saved recipe model also, because this allowed the users to take actual snapshot to save the recipe that they like made from another user and keep them even if the original user, the creator, leaves the platform. Let's look at some algorithm that considered relevant, the state changing machine. So we're going to look at the publishing part. So the states that are involved are draft, ready, and published. Here on the right, if can you see something? Yes, we can see the pointer. This is the React component that handles the little buttons of the state change that you have seen in the recipe tool, the recipe page. You can see that the state changing is handled by this function with a very appropriate name, handle state change. This function is an asynchronous function that receives the new value for the state that and makes a fetch, a call to the API using the ID of the corresponding recipe and the new value for the state that we want to set. And of course, it does some error management, sets status to disable buttons and such while the process is being done. This is received by the viewset, Django viewset that handles all these endpoints and allowed operations. It requires to be authenticated to do any operation besides reading. There is a custom-made require author method to necessitate that the author of the recipe is the only one that can change its status besides saving, because this is not part of this particular workflow. The specific method that handles the change of state is this one, set the status. It works with a batch method. How it works, it goes to look for the recipe that we have, for which we have provided an ID, and verifies it exists, of course. It verifies if the author that is coming in the, whose data is coming in the request, is the, well, if the user is the author of this recipe. It, it verifies that the new state value is one of the allowed states that are included in the system. It verifies if I'm trying to publish the recipe, then there is some validation that each of these, that some of the fields go through, such as the title. It must have a title. There should be an anime connected to it, because that's the point of the application, the anime motivation. There should be at least one ingredient. There should be at least one step in the recipe. Then we recover the status, which are actually instances, models, records in our database, not just text written somewhere. And if we are publishing, then we set the current time with the time zone, so localized time, into the published date of the recipe. And we finally update all necessary fields into the database record. The timeline for the execution of the project was divided into 5 stages, such as per Holberton requires. The stages were about 2 weeks long each, except the development stage, which was about 7 weeks. These stages went from idea, development, planning, technical documentation, then development, and finally closure of the project. In terms of agile or development of the sprints that I applied for the development stage, I divided it into 4 sprints. Most of them, the real main ones, into 2 weeks long, and the first one 1 week long, so to set up the project. Then I worked 1 sprint for the backend models and the CRUD API, 1 for the front end, and the final one to integrate, make it everything communicate, which was the hardest one. In terms of version control, well, I use Git. I have a main branch, a development branch to have only the main production working application version in main. Development, I have the work is in progress, and each feature or fix that I need to use, I create a branch for it and I merge it via pull request towards dev. For the management of the project, sprints, to-do list and such, I use Jira initially, then I moved on to GitHub projects. In general, I add to-do list items into the backlog. I choose which one I need to work on, or I plan ahead and I follow the plan to mark them into progress, work on it, commit, push, pull request, and then mark as done. During this process, I have faced, well, some, let's say, internal backslash from my own decisions initially. Learning 3 frameworks at once while trying to deliver a product and an MVP, it was ambitious. So it was a bit, it required some effort. In terms of outside of the technical aspect, planning a project while also executing it, while also evaluating its progress, while also reporting, while also testing it, is a complicated workflow that, while doing everything by oneself once, we are also with a very limited time frame. Well, it was a bit of a hassle, it was a challenge. And the main problematic, let's say, I found in the end was the mindset of separating front and back when I designed the application. This made the integration quite cumbersome. This pushed me to now believe that a better way would have been to think of in terms of contracts of the APIs and the actions or required things, the front and back, not front and back separately, but the contract between them.
Yeah.
To ideate the application. This is the MVP. I am quite happy with what it can do at the moment, but as I was ambitious at the beginning, I'm still ambitious. I would like to do a lot of things to continue to improve it. In terms of functionalities, I would like, I need a profile page so the users can create their own public image, their own public face. I want to, I haven't implemented yet in the front end, but it needs research and filtering capabilities. I want to add external APIs, such as the anime API, to deduplicate the choice of anime, so there's not just a string. I want to deploy, implement CI/CD pipelines and automated testing, move on the media to an S3 bucket, etc. And with that, I thank you for your attention, and I am open for questions related to this project.
Thank you, Xavier. Congratulations. It's a good project, and you do the things from the start to the end with lots of things in your project. So it's a good thing, because in real life, in general, on 2026, we don't do everything alone. So congrats for that. For the beginning, I saw multi-factor authentication when you log. It's okay, or it just saved the login password?
It was just saved the
Okay.
login password.
I saw that, I said, whoa.
No, not yet, not yet. No.
Okay, just a little thing that I said to your colleague, that you said at the end that when you add your ID, and it's like the same for you, when you add your ID, I think that it's normal at the beginning to follow straight and maybe begin development too early, and in agile cycle we have a phase which is plain, and it's really important, because the mistake what you did on the beginning, you can report this 6 months or 1 year ago after. So when you say I think you had some difficulties to reconciliate your client's data policy, because I didn't see any mandatory fields or something like that on your UI interface when you said something on the phone, but on your code you have lots of control. So like previous presentation, how the user can know what can he do and what he can't do.
Yeah, it is true. I believe there are certain informations and explanations about the platform that have not been transmitted to the user.
Yeah.
There are, of course, error messages that are transmitted. So
Yeah.
once they do something wrong, I tell them,
Yeah.
But I know this is not the best way to approach it.
It's the first step, but in 2006 now, the lots of company prevents the error before the user do this. So you need to prevent user to not do this, like maybe just info message or something like that, or a little bit description before your label. It will be more comfortable for the user, and everyone knows that when you set something on the form, if you have error message, user can be frustrated for that.
For sure.
So it's cool because prevent bad data can be useful for you on the cycle of your in your variable, in your everything, in your function, etc., etc. So I just noticed that. Congratulations for the cycle of life of the recipe. It's a good idea. Maybe you just can add in the future an approval for the publishing, because I don't know. We don't know what control are due after on the publishing time, but after that you present it and it's on your code. When we click on publishing, you do the control on the title, on something like that, but user don't know that. So I understand the benefits for the user, but he doesn't understand. So it's not really cool for him. No, maybe you can set an approval for a moderator, which who can approve or reject some recite.
Okay. I did think about the part of content moderation. Like, you can write anything you want as long as this is long and such. It could be dangerous for a social network to be put. Social networking.
Maybe you spoke about automation or deduplicate.
That was for the anime, so I wanted to. I want to recover anime titles that actually exist, that are referenced, and then so that it can be chosen instead of just type anything.
Okay.
But yes, in terms of content moderation, all I thought was, that I wanted to add at some point report button, so the community itself can say, hey, this recipe, something is wrong, this is not, it shouldn't be here. And then, the moderator, the administrator will receive notification and can do something about it. I wouldn't know how to do an automatic moderation. Maybe an AI, maybe.
But if you have a control to prevent duplication, it's okay. I just saw something which be a problematic thing. I saw an auto retry on 401 code. How many times and how long?
Once.
Oh, okay. Because you can crash. Okay,
Once.
just
I
once.
check once. If it's a 401, I try again. If it's still a 401, okay, you cannot.
Okay. Because you just don't fall in the loop and crash your infrastructure.
My idea was just that as I follow a model of the Java Web Tokens,
Yeah.
and I have access and refresh tokens.
Mm.
I have an access token of 5 minutes and a refresh token of 1 day.
Okay.
As everything is done with the access token, I didn't want that every 5 minutes the user has to do
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
to stay logged in. So I decided, well, if the token is expired, it's gonna get a 401. So I refresh it, I try again. If it doesn't work, then well, something
Okay.
it just doesn't work.
Yeah. Cool. I appreciate your architecture about you expose things on the AT port, and after you manage everything in a private network. So it's really good practice. So congrats about that. I appreciate your in the code your you because you manage APIs, you do the try catch. So you need to do that. So it's a good practice too. I appreciate your comments. I didn't see comment before, so you have to comment your code. Just to be more efficient, I saw that you told us more feature, everything to in the future, but you need to be dynamic if you want to do some other things. And I saw on your snippet code, you check your state. If you can show it to us. You check your state, and your state is hard-coded here. If new value not in, and maybe you can just paste this on parameters or something like that to not hard-coded the state.
Here I decided to hard-coded it. They are not hard-coded in the states. They do exist as records in state model,
Yeah.
recipe status model.
Yeah, I saw the table on the
So I did it like that, such that I could add others in the future if I think that this could be interesting to have a certain state. In here I hard-coded it because I thought, well, I cannot already know. I cannot predict what the logic for the new status would be.
Okay.
So for now, if this is the logic I am aware of, I just explicitly declare it, and then, well, if there is an additional logic, additional state, then I'll have to modify the logic anyway. Otherwise, well, it would be useful.
And my remark, just it's like before I said, data policy must be equal to UI policy. You just have to the same level, because on your database you have control, so on the UI you must to show this control. It's the same thing here. On your model, if you have free choice, and in your control you have free choice, maybe it could be efficient to in your function request maybe your table before.
I am doing that.
Okay.
Wait. Okay. For this state, I am not doing that.
Just
because
get
each button
your
is based
state and stock on the variable, and if point exclamation not exist, and you have your control, maybe. But if we add a state on your table, like finished, maybe, or cancel, you have to add this state on your database and add the control here, and maybe on the function.
Yes. So this is the function that controls which state you can go transfer to.
Yeah.
So yes, this would have to be rewritten to adapt to the new status.
Mm.
On the front end, on the UI, the thing is I have basically only one button at a time to set the state, since at the moment at least it's linear. So if it is a draft, then you only have a button to make it ready, or
Okay.
you don't do anything. Yeah.
No, it was just it's not really important.
Yeah, no, it is an idea, something I thought about. I just couldn't picture how to make it more robust, like
Yeah, it's
make the
just
same, the single source of truth sort of paradigm.
And do you control the cycle of life of your state? Like, can I put a draft to publish?
No,
No, you control that.
it's
It's a good thing because yeah.
It's here. So if the new value is published and the current one is not ready, wrong.
Yeah, okay. It's a good thing. So I said the UI policy, data policy, tag equal. It's auto retry, so it's a good idea, but you must think about your retry thing and block to not fall on a loop.
There's only just one. There's no loop
Yeah,
anywhere.
yeah. Your try catch is a good thing. I saw that you have lots of error message. It's a good thing too. And congrats for the responsive and lots of feature. I don't know. I don't see everything, but I saw a dark mode. I saw the timer, etc. So it's really good because it's make your application complete for the user. So it's really valuable too. So it's a really good job. So congratulations, Xavier, and thank you.